More on the Dunkley by-election win for Labor. Let's go live to the Treasurer Jim Chalmers. He joins us from Melbourne today. Treasurer, thanks for your time. Does the result at the weekend, does it give you a sense of vindication on your push for those tax changes?
Oh, good morning, Kieran. A couple of things about that. I mean, first of all, we're not complacent or getting carried away by the really great outcome that we saw in Dunkley on the weekend. We learn from every election and every by-election, and we'll make sure that we do that too. But we are heartened, we are encouraged, and we are grateful, frankly, for the support that so many of those working communities showed for Jody Bellier and for Anthony Albanese and his team, but also for the tax changes that we announced in January. I think the Dunkley by-election was a vindication of the leadership that the Prime Minister showed in making sure we could provide a tax cut to every Australian taxpayer, but with a bigger emphasis on Middle Australia. And what the outcome showed in Dunkley was that people were prepared to see through the frankly absurd scare campaigns and culture wars and to vote for our cost of living tax cuts, which provide more help for more people via the tax system. So heartened and encouraged, but not carried away, not complacent certainly, but I think it was a very good result for us and a big endorsement of our efforts to help people with the cost of living. It showed that only really one major party cares about the cost of living, and that's Labor. The other mob more or less vacated the field. And it showed as well that Peter Dutton's nasty negativity is no substitute for economic credibility or an alternative plan to deal with these cost of living pressures that we know people are confronting.
Does it embolden you to undertake more cost of living relief in the upcoming May budget? Well, I think we've said for some time, the Prime Minister has, I have, and others certainly have, that if we can afford to give additional meaningful cost of living help in the budget in May, of course we will consider doing that. I think what people will see in the budget is we will fund these cost of living tax cuts which come in on the 1st of July for every taxpayer. And if there are other initiatives that we can take in the usual methodical, responsible, meaningful way, then we'll look to do that as well. But the major centrepiece of our cost of living package passed the Parliament in the course of last week, and that was the cost of living tax cuts, and every taxpayer will feel the benefit of those from the 1st of July as a consequence. Is there possible scope for further tax reform before the election, given how this was received at the weekend?
Oh, Kieran, our focus here is on legislating some of the big tax reforms that we've already announced. You know, the PRRT changes are before the Parliament, the superannuation tax concessions are before the Parliament. We've got a lot of effort on multinational tax reform, which I discussed with my G20 colleagues in Sao Paulo last week. So there is already a big, ambitious agenda when it comes to tax reform. And in addition to those that are before the Parliament, and in addition to our cost of living tax cuts, we're also providing tax breaks for small business and energy efficiency and EVs and the like, and build-to-rent properties. And that's because we have shown a willingness to reform the tax system in the interests of the Australian people, and particularly in the interests of Middle Australia. We've still got some unfinished business before the Parliament right now, and that's our focus.